Yo, what's up, guys? Happy Saturday. Hope you guys are having a good Saturday. I am just chilling outside. I love to come out here and mostly think. I got a couple of young kids, a two-year-old and a 4-year-old, and they're very loud, right? If you guys know, a couple boys that run around all day. So it's good for me to, probably like you, get outside or get somewhere where it's a little bit more quiet so you can think, part of my morning routine. And it got me thinking. I was talking to a gym owner today, still talking to him, and we were talking about scaling, right? We were talking about profitably scaling and what that looks like and how to create a plan to scale specifically for the gym business, right? A brick and mortar gym, what does it mean to scale? And how do you know when you are scaling versus staying the same? And should you just naturally let scaling happen? Or is it something that you should plan for? Plan to scale at specific times and know what to expect. So I said, you know what, this is gonna be a great piece of content that I can put out to the new group and kind of walk them through what it looks like to scale a brick and mortar business from a one-man show to a 7-figure business, which is something I've done twice now. And there are some mistakes that I made and then some really good decisions I made. And I kind of want to walk you through both of them. So when you go through scaling and building your business, building your team, you can take the fast route instead of making some of the mistakes I made. So I decided to grab my little handy pen and pad, and I'm going to walk you guys through what it looks like. So when you start a brick and mortar business, most of the time it's just you by yourself or one other person, okay? And so we'll call that, and I'll break this out over the course of, let's just say 12 months, okay? Now it's going to probably take you longer than 12 months to scale from $0 to $1 million. In revenue, not profit. But I wanted to at least show a chart that would set expectations for like a 12-month scaling approach, okay? So I'll just draw on the bottom 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see this. Yep. Okay, so I have it at 1 and all the way to 12, and what this graph chart is going to kind of look like. So you start off at 1, and let's say you have 10 clients and they're paying you, $200 a month each. You are at $2,000 in revenue, okay? But you don't have very many expenses, okay? So you're right here, and you're beginning to collect more and more clients, okay? You don't have a lot of expenses, so your profit margins are pretty healthy. At this point, I would say it's maybe 50% profit margins, okay? But the absolute amount of profit is not very high, because if you're able to keep half of it, you always have some fixed expenses, right? So we'll break this down. You have your fixed expenses and your variables, okay? So your fixed expenses, they never go away no matter how many members you have. Things like lease, your building rent, your energy, your utilities, your if you have to pay back a loan on equipment, things like, which might eventually go away. But you have things that are never going to go away. You have to pay taxes, things like that. So those are fixed expenses. Then you have your variables, like how much is your payroll? Well, that's dependent on how many team members you have, right? Or how much are you paying in credit card processing? Well, that depends on how much you process. So some of those expenses, software, right? At first, you don't need much software, but as you get larger, as you get more members, you're gonna have to start paying for more of that, because maybe you have to upgrade or do things to keep members accountable and things like that. So your variable expenses start growing. So I like to break it up into 3 categories. On the left-hand side, revenue, right? And what does that look like? Middle, expenses. Right-hand side, profit margins, right? What is left over after you subtract all the expenses from the revenue you brought in that month? Okay, so at first, bringing this full circle, we are at, let's just say 10 clients, $200 a month, and you have a 50% margin. Your absolute return is $1,000. Okay, so a couple things before you say, hey, I want to grow my business, I want to add more members. A couple things you have to be okay with doing. Number 1, you have to be okay with spending more money on payroll to hire help. right? Because if you have 20 clients, let's say 20 clients, and they're training one-on-one for hours, 2 or 3 sessions a week, you're pretty much maxed out on time. At this point, you're an employee, if you watch the previous video, and you are trading your time for dollars, okay? And you cannot grow past 20, right? So you might have a higher absolute return because you're bringing in more revenue with some of these fixed expenses. You don't really have a lot of variables yet, but you're going to be capped out at that, okay? If you're comfortable with that, then don't scale. Just get yourself busy with 20 clients and just keep them, right? If you're like most entrepreneurs, you want to scale. So what do we got to do? Well, you have to be first, your mindset has to be okay with saying, look, I have to hire another coach so I can I can keep building. Now I can bring on 30 clients, or let's just say 20 clients, but they keep 10 and I keep 10, right? That way you can still do other things for the business that you'll need to, like sales and retention. So that's the first thing, is being comfortable with allowing someone else in your business to take over things that you are currently doing. The second thing that you want to make sure that you're comfortable with is your retention, okay? I never recommend saying, hey, I'm gonna scale my business if you don't know if you can provide the same level of service to 40 clients that you can with 10. That is essentially what retention is. Now, people create a lot of fancy systems out there to retain members, but the big picture is, you think you can give an absolute amazing service to a group of 10 people by yourself, which is why you started a business. Now, can you deliver that same exact quality and experience to 100 people, right? Without losing any experience? Can you do that? Now, if you have a solid plan on how to do that, then I would say yes. Then it's time to start scaling, because you're going to be pouring money into acquisition of customers, and it would be a shame if they're slipping right out of the other end. You got a leaky bucket, right? I do not recommend saying, yeah, I'm going to scale if you're at a 5 or let's just say 7 or higher percent attrition rate, which is X amount, like 7% of your total members are quitting every month, okay? So you got those two things figured out. Yes, I'm okay with delegating things that I'm currently doing now. And yes, I don't think that my members are going to quit. I have these systems in place. I'm doing these things. So even when I get to 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 100, 200 members, they're still going to be getting the same experience as my members are getting right now with 10. If you answered yes to both of those, let's frickin' scale, okay? So here's what it looks like. You will start acquiring customers, okay? Now, if you don't know how to acquire customers, I recommend you get with a program, our program, someone else's program, that will teach you how to acquire customers, whether it's paid, whether it's free. You want to make sure that you can acquire at least, let's say, 15 to 20 customers per month, okay? Because at this point, if you're at a 5% attrition rate and you have, let's say 10 members, let's say you're at higher than 10 members, let's say you're at 100 members, you're only losing 5 of them per month. So if you acquire 15 to 20, you have a net positive of, let's say, 10 to 15, right? So you're growing, okay? So let's use those numbers. Now we are at month 2. Now you can break these up into years if you want to. I'm just using months for simplicity, but we have grown our revenue. Okay, so you went from 1 to 20 members, and you have grown your revenue, and as a byproduct, you have grown your profits, right? Because it's just you. And you say, look, I want to continue making more revenue, but I can't do this by myself. So I need to hire my first coach so I can continue selling and continue marketing and continue meeting with people and providing that great experience. There's just not enough time in a day for me to coach all these sessions. I'll just sell it and give it to this coach. Great, you hire your coach. Okay, so now let's say month 3, what happens? You brought on 10 more customers, but now you have a variable expense that you didn't have before, which is payroll for your coaches. You stand still. You do not make more profit. You bring in more revenue, but you don't make more profit. Well, that sucks, but it's part of the game, right? Because now what we've done is we've brought another player on board, and we have to pay this person, but they're not fully operational yet. It takes them a little bit of time. I always say about 30 days after you acquire a new customer, a new team member, they'll start paying for themselves. So you just freed up yourself some time to sell more people and load this guy up. So you did not make more money because the first month he don't have clients, right? You know it takes time to get your new trainer some clients, but you have to pay him regardless. So we didn't make much money, okay? But what did that do? That freed you up for the next month to make more profit because your revenue is going up, right? Hold on. Sorry about this, guys. We have a tornado siren. Yeah, live next to that when kids are napping. It's wonderful. Getting back to what I was saying is, it's always going to be a zigzag like this, okay? You make money, you make revenue, and as a byproduct, you are making a profit off of that revenue. You're making more revenue than you have expenses, but you have to hire somebody, so it goes down for a month. But after that person is trained up and ready to assume those duties from you, as the owner, you can now sell more and you have more people to give the people you are selling to. Revenue goes up, profit, and then you have to continue acquiring people. So the way it looks is something like this, and I'll draw it out so you can see. And it's never going to be an constant upward trajectory, not in our business, because when you hire a new person, they take up quite a bit of payroll. Okay, take a look at this chart. See how it looks? You will, all these months where you're not making more profit than the previous month, it's because you're acquiring team members that can continue scaling. So let's say you've always maintained a 20% profit margin. Let's just say that, okay? It's always been 20%. Now, at, let's just say 50 members paying you $200 per month, for simplicity's sake, that's $10,000 in revenue. Okay, with a 20% margin, that is $2,000 in profit. Now, why would we scale? Right? Because even as your revenue increases, let's say you get to a 7-figure gym and you maintain your 20% profit margins, okay? Let's take a look at it. So if you have $1 million gym, which is the goal, not everybody's goal, but I think it's very doable for a lot of people, and now you still have that 20% margin because you're able to keep a 20% margin as you scale, what is your profit left over? Well, it's $20,000 every month, okay? And that's the name of the game. Over here, when you get started, 20% margins at a $10,000, $2,000. Over here at $1 million, 20% margin, $20,000. Now we teach people how to scale their businesses while maintaining that 20% margin. That's the toughest part, right? Because how do you hire people and keep the margins as your payroll increases? Well, you have to be very smart with what you're doing with your time, because everybody that you hire is taking a system or taking something off of your plate, right? So now that you have this free time, what do you do with it so you can maintain these margins? Well, you sell, you market, you continue acquiring customers, you keep acquiring customers. But that's why I say make sure that your retention systems are really squared away, because you don't want to have a leaky bucket. So that is like a 1,000-foot overview of what scaling a gym business looks like. And there's specific points when you want to bring on specific team members. So as a rule of thumb, you get to like 3 or 4, maybe 5 trainers, right? Because you keep on selling, giving clients, selling, giving clients, selling, giving clients, to where now you don't need to be training people anymore. And you can just focus on marketing, sales, and learning as much as you possibly can about what the next steps are. Then you'll want to acquire someone to help manage these trainers, like a lead trainer. You can acquire somebody, you can promote somebody, but you're not going to want to be the person that is going to do all the day-to-day managing of personnel, right? So get your right-hand man that is going to make sure the workouts are on point, the music's on point, everybody's on time, classes are filled, all of these things. That's what you pay somebody for. Now you're going to lose some profit by doing that, but you'll make it back up. See, if this trajectory up is a 20% margin, then maybe the month where you acquire that new employee is only a 10% margin, right? You have to be okay with that, because we're going to go back up, knowing that yes, you're still trying to always fight and claw for that 20% margin, but as your revenue increases, your absolute return at the end of the month is much larger. As you can see from, let's say, this is for our gym, year 1 was right about this, and then year 6 to 7 is when we hit the $1 million mark, and we did maintain like $20,000 to $30,000 in profit every month. Okay, and it was by doing things a very specific way when you acquire the next customer or the next employee, right? So let's say you have your 3 to 4 trainers, and now you want to focus on really digging into sales, going high ticket, marketing, because it's getting more and more difficult. You need to have more and more sales, because guess what? If you're maintaining a 5% attrition rate, well, if you have 300 members instead of 100, instead of 5 people that you're losing each month, you're losing 15 people, and that's okay, that's fine, right? Because 5% attrition is not bad, but you got to make those 15 people up, which is how you grow, right? So how do you do that? Well, you need a lot of focus on it. So maybe you hire yourself an admin, right? Or an ops manager, as I like to call them, and they take care of all the day-to-day operations, cleaning supplies, Facebook posting, making sure that everything at the gym is squared away, copies of contracts, putting stuff into your CRM like MindBody. I mean, all the day-to-day operational stuff. Maybe you hire somebody to do that. Now, realizing your variable expense is going to go up, but it's because you want a higher absolute return and you need to make more sales to get there. So just for that 30 days, while they're not completely squared away, they're in training, your profit margin is going to go down to 10%, because you have to pay them, but they're not really pulling their weight quite yet. Okay, they haven't freed you up quite yet. You can't just hire somebody and say, peace. You know, you got to train them, you got to do all this stuff, but you're okay with that 10% for that month, because you know it'll return to 20 the next month, but at a higher revenue level, more money in your pocket. So let's say you hire an admin next and they're doing great. Now you really need to focus on not training at all, because you have your trainers and your head trainer. You don't need to focus on any of the administrative stuff. So what should you focus on? At this point, I'd recommend you focusing on, hold on a second, loud truck. At this point, you're focusing on nothing but lead generation and sales, whether that's organic, paid, whatever it may be, so you can get in front of as many people as you possibly can. Okay, so you've done that, and now you're tired of selling all day, right? You don't want to be a salesperson. Well, now you hire your salesperson, right? And you have a team, you have a sales manager that is going to be meeting with everybody that you are still marketing for. You're still acquiring these customers. You're just sending them to somebody else instead of yourself, right? And so now you have a team. You have a team of leaders at your business. You have a sales manager. You have an operations manager, and you have a training manager, right? And you have what looks like a great team. So what is your job? Well, I'd argue that you should continue getting leads into these sales managers and continue training each one of these managers so they are really, really good. You need to teach your leaders how to become good leaders, okay? And if you can do that, they take ownership over their jobs, and they are starting to run the business for you. Because if you're just getting leads into the gym for your sales manager and they all know their job really well, what do you need to do? What do you need to do at the gym? Nothing. You can get leads from a beach, right? You can get leads anywhere. You don't need to be, you can even hire someone to get the leads for you, which is what we do, right? And so it becomes that's a 1,000-foot overview of how to scale your business and how to work yourself out of it and work on your business. Nowadays, all I do is focus on the vision. Who do we want to become? Focus on branding. What does our community think about who we are, right? Focus on organic ways of lead generation, referrals. And if I'm going to pay for leads, I want to make sure that they're high quality and they're going to come in and sign up, and we're very transparent with who we are and what we do, so we're not misaligned with the customers that are coming into our gym and what we actually offer. And then I just focus on training my team. I just want them to be the best individuals. And if I learn something really cool, I'm immediately teaching it to them. So I'm not, hoarding all of this knowledge. I can help them with morning routines and showing up to be the best version of themselves. And all of these things I can do. I can get their goals and bonuses completely aligned with the business goals and bonuses. So when we hit certain profit numbers, they get a certain bonus from it. Well, now they're very motivated for us to have high profit. So I do things like this all day long, but it's a very comfortable lifestyle because I can do these from home. I can go to the gym, which I do to work out. I can go on vacation for, 3 months, and our business doesn't miss a beat. And what I'm telling you is everybody can do that. You just need to know the tactics and the techniques each step, and when to make that jump, when to make that leap, when to make that acquisition, when to hire that person, when to pour money in, what are the retention systems. You need to know these things so you can feel comfortable putting money towards getting more members. So again, I wanted to show you what it looks like to scale a business, gym business, from 10 members up to $1 million. Obviously, if you can get to $1 million in revenue, keep the least amount of members to get there as humanly possible, because you will profit more, period. And it's much, much easier to manage a business with 200 members than it is with 700 members. I can tell you this, I've had $1 million gym with both scenarios, right? My members now, they pay roughly $299 to $399 a month to train at my gym, right? And so I only need 250 of them to make $1 million in revenue per year. An old model that I had, they were paying $39 a week, which came out to like $160 a month, right? So I needed about 600 members. Holy shit, what a difference when it comes to walking into your gym, as far as being organized, your customer service. People are saying, hey, I emailed and no one got back to me. Well, yeah, you need a shitload of systems and a shitload of staff to be able to pull that off. And it's very complex because there's just so many people, right? How do you deliver the same experience to 600 people as you would to 10? Very hard to do. I've done it, very, very hard. How do you deliver the same experience to 250 as you would with 10? Not quite as hard. In fact, it's 1/3 as hard. And you can use a lot of basic things to do it. So obviously, if you guys are interested in learning how to scale, when to take certain steps, if your retention is good, if you don't know very simple things like your profit margins now, if you don't know what your retention rate is now, if you don't know what your employees that you currently have staffed, like what their defined role is and what they should be doing, all of these things are very important before you say, look, I'm ready to scale. Because if you don't have these things squared away and you're like, yeah, I'm ready to scale, let's put a bunch of money towards ads, you could be losing it as fast as you are bringing new people in, because you can't keep them. They'll say that the service is shitty, so on and so forth. It just becomes, you'll get burned out, right, without these systems in place. Well, we do systems. That's all we do. So hit us up, shoot me a DM, comment on the video if you like this. Sorry, it's another long one. I try to keep these things short, but I get fired up. So hopefully you guys like my quick 1,000-foot overview of what it looks like to scale a gym business, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.